If the brothers could kindly start coming into their places. Jazakallah. Just mind the brothers who are still praying, not to walk in front of them. I think next time we'll have to place only about 5 chairs, and then we'll see everybody can sit really. Jazakallah. If there's any brothers upstairs as well, if they could kindly make their way downstairs. Sorry. So while you're waiting, just reflect and bring yourself in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be in a state of istighfar, inshallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. By now, most of the participants should be able to do this practice of transfer through the Lataif. So in this gathering, inshallah, we will be taking you through the Lataif, and after the transfer, you will make or try to make your own journey, inshallah ta'ala. Now, before we begin, we have to go through some of the etiquettes to make it easy for you to travel. And one of the first ones is, before we do anything, we think anything, that we have to make sure that we are sitting comfortably. So make sure there's enough spaces in between, and if you need to change posture, that you don't disturb anybody, and most of all, you don't disturb yourself. A person who is being disturbed by the pains and aches in their joints, how can they concentrate on their amal? So similarly, inshallah ta'ala, those who are sitting on the chairs, if there is a need, then mashallah. But there also sometimes we find that the chairs are too close to each other. So when the person moves, it makes a sound due to the friction. So make sure that there's a little gap between the chairs as well. So inshallah, refresh your intention, our intention, that what is it that we have come here for and why we have come here. So our ultimate intention is always the same, which is we all came here to try and seek and attain the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. That is the ultimate objective. So now, for the purpose of this retreat, our intention is to have some sort of unveiling, as the ustads have previously said, be it at a thought level or imagination or at a spiritual level, but to attain something. So inshallah, I'd just like to expand on that a little bit, because I have been hearing through the updates certain things were being mentioned again and again, and certain things are being not mentioned, but rather mentioned in one-to-ones or privately. So with those things in mind, I would just like to say that you were told, we were all told again and again, not to have any preconceived ideas. But it seems a lot of people still had ideas. Now you need to let this go. You need to cut this now. Cut it at its roots. So get rid of any ideas. Second of all, when you are doing the amal and the transfer and so on and so forth, don't judge yourself. That's not your job. Your job is to do the prescribed amals in the way it has been prescribed to you. So don't start saying, is this thought, or is this imagination, or is this spiritual, I don't know. Well, you're not supposed to know. That's why there are teachers and ustads. They will decide that for you, inshallah. But still, because this is a common thought which seems to distract people, the Mashayikh have already given a presentation on it about the 20 signs and 20 different stages person goes through to get to that spiritual experience. So inshallah, now if you are sitting comfortably, I ask you to close your eyes and bring the 3 keys to unlock the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal in your mind, in your hearts, in your souls, in your being, which are that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is present with you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears you and sees you. Now these are the 3 keys, and one of the easiest way to help you do this is to imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Is to imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Those who can do this at a higher level, then mashallah, that is good. You can do it at that level. Now I'm presuming everyone has offered the Salatul Hajat and everything. If not, then inshallah, as you try to bring yourself in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal in your hearts, then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is it that you desire from this retreat, from these amals? After that, inshallah, if you are content now that you have some sort of level of presence and witness with Allah Azza wa Jal, then you may open your eyes or keep them closed while you recite the dua of protection, which is simply to recite 1 time Surah Fatiha So I will take you through as I'm saying, so inshallah give you time to recite these as well, inshallah ta'ala. So first of all, recite Surah Fatiha. Then recite Ayatul Kursi. Then recite Surah Ikhlas. Then Surah Falaq. And then Surah Nas. And after reciting the Qul Sharif, then make your hand like you do in dua, and then blow in your hand. And then as you blow in your hand, imagine that light is going onto your hands, and then rub it all over your body, starting with your face, then your right side, then your left side, then the body, as much as you are able to touch of the body. Now after that, again, refresh the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then bring yourself in the state of humbleness. How you can do this, you have been explained many times, but if you forget, then at least to think that we cannot even exist without Allah Azza wa Jal. We need Allah Azza wa Jal, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need us. After that, try to bring inside yourself thankfulness and gratefulness. Be thankful to Allah Azza wa Jal that He Azza wa Jal has enabled you to be participating in such a gathering and in such amals. And then one of the most important mindset to have is, after doing all these things, you should have reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not think even for a blink of an eye that by doing these amals or doing the good deeds that you will be given X, Y, Z. You will only be given by the fazl and grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. So rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Open yourself up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even mention in your hearts that, oh my Lord, you are the most merciful. There are blemishes even in my acts of goodness, but my reliance is on you and your mercy, that you will accept it as though I have performed it in the way in which most pleases yourself. And after that, please recite once, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Astaghfirullah. 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 Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. العلي العظيم. So again, refresh the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then inshallah we will start cleansing of the lataif. So we will start with the white lataif, but before this, again, you will think of the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. It is up in the heavens or the skies, and it is in very beautiful white color. And from that name, the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, the white nur, the white light, is coming down onto the white lataif, and it is as though it is going all the way down to the red lataif. As you breathe in through your nose, you will imagine the light entering, and as you breathe out through your mouth, you will imagine that with that all the worries and anxiety or any preconceived ideas or anything which is bothering you or anything which you think is a hindrance and a blockage between you and Allah Azza wa Jal, and that is being relieved. So inshallah, if you start that now. Bismillah. So take deep breaths as you put the light in, as it enters, and then slowly exhale, letting the breath to naturally flow. It does not have to be so deep that you are uncomfortable, but to the level that it is just above your normal breathing, yet it is comfortable for you. So as you breathe through your nose, it is clear, but as you breathe out through your mouth, imagine all those darknesses which resides within the person, which is a blockage, be it of a sin or of a shortcoming in any way, and that is coming out. So it is like as though black smoke is coming out through your mouth. Now, with the power of your imagination, imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in beautiful red color. So the name of Allah Azza wa Jal's color has now changed to red, shining, sparkling red. We have all seen the color red, but when it is attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal, it is the most beautiful and perfection color red. As you breathe in through the nose, imagine the red light is entering through the nose and it is flowing all the way down to below your belly button latayaf, which is in red, and it is entering from the front side. And as you breathe out, imagine that it is cleaning that tube of latifa, and it is coming from the back of the latifa. To take breath in as the light is entering through the nose, flowing all the way down to the red latifa. As you breathe out, imagine it is cleansing your latifa and it is going out from the back. Do not hold yourself back. You don't really need to be told what is your weakness in that region. You know, most people know really. So imagine that is being cleaned out. And if you feel or know that this is not a weakness, or you can see the red lataif, it is shining and shimmering, then let it shine and shimmer. Try to hold on to that imagination, make it strong as possible, and actually experience and feel and taste it as the light is entering through the nose, flowing all the way down, as though one has taken a sip of fluid, and one can mostly feel that going down. Feel that going down to the red latifa, which is below the navel, in the groin area, and it is entering, and as you breathe out through the mouth, it is cleaning that latifa. Now, the name of Allah Azza wa Jal has changed to the perfected color of orange. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shining bright, illuminating all that is within, and it is sparkling. And as you breathe in through the nose, imagine the orange light is entering and it is flowing down to your navel where the orange latifa is, and it is entering. And as you breathe out, imagine that orange light cleansing your orange latifa, and it is going out from the back. imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in bright yellow color, shining and dispersing and illuminating everything which is around. As you breathe in through the nose, imagine the yellow light is entering through the nose and it is flowing down to the yellow latifa which is in the stomach area above the navel or the belly button. And as you breathe in, as it flows down, it enters your yellow latifa, and as you breathe out through the mouth, it cleanses it and it is then released through from the backside. Now the name of Allah Azza wa Jal's color has changed to green, most pleasing to the eye, the color green. And as you breathe in through the nose, you imagine the green light is entering and it is flowing down to your chest, heart level area where the green latifa is, and it is entering the latifa. And as you breathe out through the mouth, you are cleaning the green latifa and it leaves from behind you. Now the name of Allah Azza wa Jal's color has changed to light blue, or also known as sky blue, and it is shining. And as you breathe in through the nose, imagine the light blue Noor is entering through your nose, and it is flowing down to your neck area where the light blue Latifa is. And as you breathe out through the mouth, imagine it cleansing your light blue Latifa as it then leaves from behind you, from the back of the neck. Now, the name of Allah Azza wa Jal's color has changed to beautiful ocean dark blue. As you breathe in through the nose, imagine that the light is coming down from the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is entering through your forehead, entering through your forehead where the dark blue Latifa is. And as you breathe out, the light is cleaning the Latifa, and it is leaving from the back of your head. color of the name of Allah Azza wa Jal has changed to white, bright, milky white, whiter than white itself, and it is illuminating everything that can be seen and beyond. As you breathe in through the nose, imagine that light from the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, pure white light, is flowing down to your white latifa, which is situated above the head at the crown level, and it is entering through the front of that latifa. And as you breathe out, you see your white latifa being cleansed as the light is traveling from the front of the latifa and it is exiting from the back. Now imagine that light is flowing all the way down to the red latifa, the white pure light, and it is coming all the way back to the white latifa, and it is as though it is going back and forth in such a manner that slowly you start to see the colors of the latifas are mixing into a rainbow-like color. And as you are breathing out, you slowly start to feel that your body is becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. Now really focus on what is being said. Focus on the amal and feel your body becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. It is as though now the body is slowly disintegrating or disappearing. Now imagine the lataif starting with the red latifa is also starting to disappear. And then the orange latifa, then the yellow latifa, then the green latifa, then the light blue latifa, and all of the latifa has now disappeared from red all the way to white, and it is just the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is as though the breath, your breath is still there. And as you breathe, bring into your imagination and consciousness that in front of you there is actually you. That can be in the form and the dress that you are dressed now, or however it appeals to you. Do not fight it. Do not restrict it. Get rid of these preconceived ideas and see yourself. It is as though it is you. As you breathe, now try to get the breathing to be more intense and prepare yourself for the transfer breath, the golden breath. So as you are breathing, your body has disappeared, all the latifa has disappeared, only your consciousness is left, which needs to be transferred into your spiritual body. So inshallah, when you are ready to take the golden breath, you may take it and transfer into your spiritual body. As you have transferred, now pay attention to the amal and try to look and find your teacher. Wherever your heart, mind and soul is directing you to, try to find the teacher. While you are finding the teacher, you can imagine your soul is traveling as though it is a shape of an orb, a circle, and it is traveling faster than the speed of light itself, as the soul itself is light. After you have found your teacher, then it is etiquette that one should give salam to the teacher, and then one should ask, beseech and beg the teacher to introduce them to the mashaykhs of the tariq, and to introduce yourself to Huzur Pak, Sayyid al-Wujud, Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then let your journey flow. Let it flow and travel with your teacher. Those who are still searching for the teacher or in any doubt or confusion, then this is where you stick to the script and imagine it is as though you are in the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabi Sharif and your teacher is there waiting for you. It is as though, far as you're concerned, it is only you that they are waiting for. And then as you approach them, you give them salam and you make your requests, and they are holding you by your hand. At this stage, one can even see oneself's appearance in the spiritual realm. Some can see themselves as a childish age, some can see themselves of a higher age, and some can see themselves as they are, and some can even see themselves at a youthful age, be it that they are elderly or younger. For some of you, it might be that the introduction level was up to the blessed Jali Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you could not be taken further, whereas for others it could be all the way down to the blessed actual Roza Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seeing, feeling and tasting as they traverse through the spiral staircase and entering the blessed chamber Mubarak, reading durood and salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seeing a glorious light emanating and coming out of the blessed Roza Mubarak, and greeting the teacher, and then the teacher is introducing you to the best of creation, Huzur Pak Sayyid al-Wujud, Sayyidina Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. After that, one is being taken to Makkah al-Mukarramah with one's teacher and Mashayikh present, with companion radiallahu anhum. It is as though whichever companion that one has resemblance with, they are standing next to you. Inshallah, carry your journey on. As I've said earlier, this is not supposed to be a guided one, but maybe due to whatever reasons one felt certain people needed a little push. It is maybe that some of you in your experiences are becoming overwhelmed. If that is the case, then do not try to contain it. Let that flow and let it out. If it is contained forcibly, then it can be harmful for the person's physical body. So now, inshallah, just as it was etiquette to greet with salam, now it is also the etiquette that if you are with your teacher, that you again ask permission for them to allow you to leave the spiritual world and return to your physical body, and bid them farewell with a salam. And slowly, in your own time, in your own way, give your salams and take your leave. Don't forget, for some of you it might be hard to take your leave, but it is not the last time, and it is not going to be the only time that you have entered the spiritual world and you are leaving. Save it for the next times, like during your salah, during the other muraqbahs as well, until it becomes innate in a person that they can go and come back whenever they want. Blessed are those people. Inshallah, time is pressing as we have preparation for the Maraqba of Barzakh, so we only have time for 2 feedback. So if anybody want to give any feedback, then please raise your hand, and inshallah Haji Gulfam Sahab will be coming to yourself at the time.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
But just to give a little bit of context for the brothers, a long time ago, a few years ago, I think it was, Hazrat Sahib assigned Ustad Ghulam Ali to be my Ustad, and over the course of the past year or so, I've had certain visions, and they have interpreted it for me to mean that I should see them as my teacher, and I should follow them with love and obedience and have the correct adab towards them. So with that in mind, inshallah, I'll begin. So whenever I say my teacher, I'm actually referring to them. Bismillah. Can I mention the ones from yesterday as well?
Just today.
Just today's one, okay. So when we started the session, after we transferred, I saw my teacher here, and I gave my salam, and I asked to be presented to the Mashayikh and to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I saw myself, we were a little bit higher up above the majlis, and we were overlooking the majlis. And my teacher said that for some people here, they cannot accept who their teacher is. For them, the journey ends here. We then travelled to Medina Sharif, where Hazrat Sahib was waiting for us. They embraced me, and I took their hand and I gave my salam. I asked for some guidance, and I professed my weakness in front of them. And they said, stick to your teacher, or go with your teacher wherever they go. They are with you wherever you are. I thanked them for their guidance, and I said that I'm not deserving of such love and such rahmah from the Mashayikh. My teacher then took me towards the mosque of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we entered into the Jannatul Baqi side entrance, and we were reciting durood and salam all the way around the Jalli Mubarak. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan Nabi. When we came to the end with the graves of Hazrat Abu Bakr and Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhum, the gates opened for us, and we descended down the spiral steps that were mentioned. I could see a bright light on top of the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This light was going to my teacher and then going to me. I then saw that we went to Masjid al-Aqsa, and I was praying behind my teacher, and there were many brothers in the Saf as well. I lost focus a little bit. Various other thoughts came to mind, different experiences I had, and my mind wandered. So I refocused, I asked for forgiveness, and I met my teacher again in Makkah Sharif. Then the Ustad said that it was time to go, so I gave my salam and I asked him for one final piece of guidance. And they said to tell the brothers, to mention to the brothers. And that was all.
Inshallah, anyone else want to mention? There's one more feedback.
Any new brother who's not mentioned anything?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
As you mentioned the tithes, I felt like I transferred. And immediately I saw Sheikh Ahmad Daba. I gave my salams and I gave him a hug. We both went to the mazar of Sheikh Abdul Aziz Dabbar, and we walked around their mazar, and then instantly they appeared. I gave my salams, and then we were travelling somewhere. I wasn't too sure where, it was a bit hazy. We travelled to the Green Dome, and we were walking on it felt like marble floor, and I can see someone leading a prayer. It seemed like it was companions that were behind. As the prayer finished, we were walking towards the Imam. And then, at the time, I felt like a little child, walking between Sheikh Ahmad Dabba and Sheikh Abdulaziz Dabba. And then as the prayer finished, the Imam turned around and it was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As they turned around, the companions parted way. And then I ran towards them. And they said, "You have come, my son. I have waited." I gave them a hug. And I didn't want to let go. And then I fell to their feet, their blessed feet. And I kissed their blessed feet while weeping. I was holding on to them, and they mentioned that I have waited for you, son. We walked along the masjid, and I can see Sheikh Ahmad Dabba and Abdulaziz Dabba, rahmatullahi alayhi. They were watching us from a distance. We walked into what it seemed like clouds. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "This is my home." And I could see, to some extent, paradise. And to the nearest meaning, they said, it was a bit hazy. And then I said to them, "I can never achieve this." And they said, "The key is to stay close to Sheikh Ahmad Dabba. They are the key." Stay close to them and follow what they say. And then they said, "It's time to go." And before I was walking back, I came back to give them a hug. And I remember holding on to their green chadar and not letting go. It was a bit overwhelming. And then I walked back to Sheikh Ahmad Dabba and Sheikh Abdulaziz Dabba, rahmatullahi alayhi. And I can see them. I can see Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam just smiling. And then we came back.
So time is of the essence, but just to pick up on a few points and make a few comments. The key is actually Hazrat Shaykh Sayyidina Ahmad Dabba, Damma Tabarakatuhum Mudzillu alayhi wa rahma, Hafadullah. They are the key. As for everyone who is here, everyone. What Brother Azhar was saying, it is a personal guidance for him, because maybe I am mentoring him, so I don't know what that means. He knows and Hazrat Sahib knows what that means. I don't know or comment on that. But the key is Hazrat Sahib. And as I was also mentioning during the muraqabah, that when one feels overwhelmed, then they should let that emotion out. So as you were saying, holding on to the green chadar, feeling overwhelmed, because at that time if a person doesn't let the emotions flow, it can damage a person's physical body. It's like, as they say, bottling it up inside when somebody goes through any emotional events, be it of a joyous or sorrowness. Now, the haziness, and many people have been mentioning haziness as well. This happens initially, and it can be exemplified. For example, those who are a little bit maybe my age or more, if you remember in the olden days, if you had to tune the TV on the antenna, Then sometimes you get a blank screen, and sometimes you get a hazy screen. That's maybe white lights with black dots, and then slowly clear, and then the picture sometimes changes, it goes back. So just to help you understand, it is because of that, because it's a new thing, and you are also trying to master this. So this haziness, inshallah, with time and being practicing the amal, it will settle, and then that haziness won't be there, inshallah azza wa jal. And yourself also mentioned regarding certain kalams which were exchanged between yourself, is these for the person who is seeing, primarily it's for that person, and then it can also, and in most cases it should be shared with other people in such settings, so it is for them as well, so that the person can. But most importantly, I would say for yourself especially, is try not to bottle it up. If you do become emotional, let it flow. So like with the case of Brother Abdurrahim, some of us can remember that they followed that guidance, mashallah, and they benefited immensely. And sometimes the state would be so much, it would be loud screams one can hear in the majalis and things like this, to the extent that even the Blessed Mother called Hazrat Sahib, saying that my son is making these noise and whatnot, but he was doing the right thing. So similarly, anybody else, maybe there are, to Allah knows best, certain people here who are overwhelmed and certain people at the back there. So you should let that flow and let it free flow and then let it out. So don't be. So inshallah, as we said two, we have done the two. So now do we give them a break and then prepare, or is anything else?
I think just a stretch really, because we need to actually leave the masjid for 4 to head towards the graveyard. So the next 2 theoretical and practical session has to be completed by 4. So if you just stand up and stretch.
Before you stand up, if I may, just wanted to add that Brother Abdur Rahman, it's his first time here in this retreat or retreat of this kind, and this is them relating their experiences. So as Hazrat Sahib themselves have been saying, that every single person here should be leaving with an experience. If you are not, then you really need to put your name down and see one of the teachers, ustads, and find out what can be done to remedy this. Many times a person knows where the blockage is. If you do, mashallah, good and well, try to rectify, move on. But maybe there are other times one thinks one knows, or one really doesn't know. So for that reason, one needs to see the teacher, like Brother Majid has been asking for names and things, and you can be assigned to a person. Because imagine if this is their first time, what will be the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time? Now what is it so special that we have given to Brother Abdur Rahman that we did not give, the Mashayikh didn't give to anybody else? It was the same slides, the same lectures, the same practical amal, same everything. Not one thing he can say that, oh, I was secretly whispered to do this one. It wasn't. So why is it happening for one person and not the other? So the shortcoming, it's not in the teachers, nor is the shortcoming in the teaching. So nor is the shortcoming in you listening to it. So where is the shortcoming? The shortcoming would be within the person. And that could be at different levels. It could be at a level that they haven't really understood what was said. Sometimes you can misunderstand, and that could be the case. Sometimes it could be a spiritual nature that you might need scanning to see where your blockages are. Sometimes it could be something which you know, but you find it hard to mention to anybody, and then let alone finding a solution. Well, this is something you have to overcome. You have to mention it to the teacher, and they will actually let you know what the solution to these things are. So those who actually went to Medina Sharif or Fas or anywhere else, you should know that this journey was not a physical one, it was a spiritual one. So even, for example, those who didn't see anything, it doesn't mean to say that they didn't go. Many a times a lot of people are taken by the Mashayikh out of love and compassion, but they don't see because of these certain blockages and things. So I urge you, inshallah, that if you do come forward, then inshallah it can be catered for. So the first parties, Brother Abdul Rahman was first time, he did the same amals as you, and he has mashallah attained. Now one other part I said there was no secret, but there was only one matter which you should know, which is the matter I'm stressing, that they came forward and they asked. They said, I am not seeing anything and I'm doing it like this. Is this correct? Is this the way I should be doing? Or what is my... And they went through the thing. And alhamdulillah, you see the results yourself and you hear the results yourself. Jazakumullah khair. Yeah.
So just to add as well, Martin, I believe Abdul Rahman hasn't physically been to Medina or Fez itself. So imagine some people think, I've never been to Fez or Medina, how can I picture these sceneries or even feel how it looks like, or in Medina Sharif or Fez. You can see spiritually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take you anywhere. So this is the key. The spirit can take you wherever you truly want to be. So inshallah there shouldn't be no shortcoming, because no matter where you are in the world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take you wherever you really want to be. So every day you can be with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina Sharif. Every day, every second, every minute you can be with the Mashayikh. There's no limit with the closeness and the time that you have in this world as such. So you can still attain these things. Imagine physically he hasn't been, but spiritually he's seen with his spiritual eye, and he's met Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar Rahmullah in Fez. He's been to the Mazar. He's been to Medina Sharif, met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Never actually physically been Medina, but spiritually a person can travel. Just put effort, and as it's been mentioned, whatever those starts and the process that the teachers have mentioned, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, inshallah, if you very silently, please. There's no need to talk because you're ready for the next session. Keep your mindset there. Just have a 1 minute stand up, and then sit as though you're going to be watching a presentation, as in the rows for Salah. Jazakallah. Those who have had their stretch, you can still come in the row, you can still stand up, inshallah, but start, at least come in your positions, inshallah. The chair brothers maybe have to let the others sit in the front, inshallah. These chairs are increasing. I didn't know we had this many chairs. MashaAllah. MashaAllah, look at these brothers, I think none of them are over 40. MashaAllah. Look at examples on this side, the YBAs and the Buzurgs, and MashaAllah. So, alhamdulillah. Okay, inshallah. So just prepare yourself, inshallah, mentally for this presentation now. Jazakallah. Astaghfirullah. Sorry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise is to Allah, the Exalted. Durood and Salams, the Master, Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Inshallah, we have a field trip today. So we'll be taking you out on a field trip to the graveyard. And time is of the essence. We just want to get through this. But I do want to get through this effectively as well. And I can't even blame Dr. Shah for the time schedule this time. No, I'm not blaming you, Ustad Usman. But inshallah, everybody keep focused now. And I will try and do this next presentation justice so we can all benefit from the field trip that the Ustads have arranged for yourselves. Now, just to refocus what our purpose of the retreat was. So, no mic, if somebody could just mention what was our purpose. Yeah, mashallah. To taste and experience, to an extent, something of the unseen world. Now, why are we trying to do this? What are we gonna do at the graveyard? We want to experience and taste something of the unseen. For that experience and that tasting helps us to raise a level of certainty in Allah and the Messenger. So with that, you got to do something with that. So the whole purpose is to taste, feel, see, increase our belief and certainty so we can face the challenges of this dunya and become more steadfast on the Sharia and the Sunnah. Even many times in the Al-Hadith, in the Quran, the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has mentioned and encouraged us to think about death and visit the graveyard and reflect. For the graveyard is a powerful reminder of how limited time we have in this world. Most of you are from the Asian subcontinent, apart from Yusuf, who will live longer than us on average. Allah knows best, but you'll probably die by the age of 60, 70. Yusuf, Allah wills, he's got the white Caucasian gene. He'll probably live to 70 to 80. But the reality is, you're all going to die. What happens when you die? And that's what the practical field trip will involve today, entering the world of the barzakh. And Ustad Usman did it beautifully, that Muraqabah at the beginning. Do you remember? So do we know what the world of the barzakh is? Again, we haven't got time for the mic to go around, just somebody just mentioned. Yep. The grave world. Or the intermediary world. So life, your soul journey continues, that journey of man. So it's the intermediary world, going towards the infinite world. That's one of the signs of what is to come. And that's what, inshallah, you will experience. The presentation is okay? Yep. So, just going to go through. Just ask Ustaz, someone just keep a check on the time for me, kindly. Yeah. So I'll stick to time because we want them to get to the graveyard and really experience this for yourself. And we'll try and do a very quick practice so everybody understands the methodology. So there's pretty much two levels to this, if you like. One of the highest levels is to enter the world of the barzakh or the grave world, the intermediary world, and communicate and receive nasiyah, receive fez from the righteous and pious. The other level is for the grave to open and to see potentially some of the punishments. So this is not for the weak-hearted. Okay? But again, you rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The whole purpose of this is to reflect and increase the level of yaqeen. So I'll get straight into the methodology now. If everybody could pay attention to the screen. So this bit I'll go through quickly because you've been practicing this day after day on the retreat. The first one does the protection amals, the 3 muraqabas. Who remembers what the 3 muraqabas were? Yeah, that's fine. Humbleness, shukr and reliance. The starting amals, the lataif, cleansing. Then the transfer. Okay, so I don't need to go through all of that now, do I? Everybody is familiar with this. I can go straight into the main presentation and methodology. So once you've transferred and you've connected with the spirit of your teacher, so with the teacher's spirit, you sit or stand next to the mazar, if possible. So let's say you go to see the mazar. So this is an example of the mazar of Sayyidina, the great Ummi saint, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh. This is what the grave looks like if those who have visited Fez and experienced. But this is an example of how to sit. So when one is buried, the face is normally at this side here, facing towards the Qibla, and you face them with adab, with respect. You've transferred. The example here is your teacher. This is you. This is the example of your teacher, and you're facing the blessed personality or the grave. Now, due to the numbers, you can stand or sit anywhere when we get there, but this is what you're doing with your spiritual body. Okay? Then I want you to imagine the name of Allah is above the mazar and the light is showering all over. It is showering all over. Nuri nur. Then you refresh. And we keep repeating this, so this then automatically becomes a habit in your daily life. You refresh the 3 keys. Allah's with me, seeing me, hearing me. And as you do that, you imagine the name of Allah, the nur is coming down, one onto you and the other onto the grave or the graveyard. And as you refresh, this light increases and increases and increases. When you're now in the presence, I want you to then start to recite in the heart the dua of Ya Allahumma Ya Rabbi Bijahi dua. For those who don't know that, any durud will be fine. Okay? So just come through that. This is a very powerful dua if you can memorize it. Very powerful dua. And you can read the translation there. But I'm going to move on. So as you do this, so you brought yourself in the presence of Allah, refresh the 3 keys, and the light has connected you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the grave to the name of Allah. Now the light starts to connect you to the blessed grave or the graveyard. And you keep reciting in your heart, and the light of Druud and the light of connection increases and increases. Increases to a point the light becomes blinding. This particularly happens when you're at the grave of the righteous and the pious. And then through that light, an even more illuminated light of the blessed personality in the barzakh or in the grave world will appear to you. At this point, one gives salam, keep that focus, and the nasiyah can then be received. So once you meet the blessed personality, whether it's a feeling, whether you think it's in your mind, just go with the flow, and then in your heart you ask for nasiyat, and in your heart guidance can be given. And just focus on that. Read the Druud to bring your focus back if you need to. Now the variations. For some, you can experience this with visual and no audio. Audio and no clear visual. Some can have both, and it would get clearer with practice and purification. Again, due to time, I won't elaborate on this, but I think everyone's getting the message here. Focus and purification. Focus and purification. All of this will help get rid of the haze. Get rid of the haze that Ustad Ghulam Ali was referring to, that you've been reporting back and back. Now the variations. Sometimes as the light increases, your spiritual body with the teacher can enter the mazar, particularly if it's the grave of the righteous and the pious. Because the grave of the righteous and the pious are like the gardens of paradise, and you can then be with them in that personality, with that personality. Or you could see in the case that we will be doing mostly is what we're going to practice today at the field trip. The grave itself can open up. You can do it at this level. And you can see or ask the individual what their state is like in the barzakh. Like the teacher mentioned, the story of Sayyidina Ali, Rahimullah, I don't need to go through that story again just for time reasons, but you know what I'm referring to. Everybody with me so far? Okay, that's fine. Even seeing the image is powerful, isn't it? Even I heard some astaghfars at the back there. Even seeing that image is powerful. Imagine seeing that with your own inner eye. So if you start to see the punishment or the darkness in the grave, start to recite La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah in the heart, and the vision will start to become clearer. Particularly if you see or experience the punishment. Sometimes you may not see, but you can feel it. You can feel the punishment. Some can feel the heat. You can feel the crack of bones, whatever the punishment might be. You may hear it. But do ask Allah. The whole point of this is to then reflect and ask, oh Allah, protect me from the punishment of the grave. Again, this can be done, particularly those who practice this in Fez, Morocco. Every Monday, they can travel spiritually like this to the mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dubag, Harihullah, and do the amals as described. Now, before you leave, do seek the permission, particularly if it's the righteous and the pious. Ask their permission and du'as. Particularly if you can see them. Normally the da'ab is when you have the grave of righteous and pious, you ask Allah directly through the wasila. So those who can see and interact just like they're talking to somebody normal, they can ask for dua and nasiyah and interact and communicate with them. This is the last part of the slide. So how are we doing for time? Yeah, wasn't too rushed? Yeah, that's fine. This bit is quite key as well for those who are still hazy. After interaction, one should give charity and be regular on this. For this increases the light of connection, forgiveness for any violation of adabs, in particular when visiting the righteous and the pious. Or even, if you think about it, you are in the spiritual company of a teacher. So to one extent, every time you transfer, you are in the company of the righteous and the pious. So be regular on this. Charity, giving has a spiritual connection as well. It has a very powerful spiritual light which can increase, and it's a form of shukr, it's a form of forgiveness, it's a form of giving. You're receiving and you're giving out, and you're giving out that light as well. You're only going to benefit more, and the haze will become clearer and clearer. MashaAllah, that's the image of the blessed Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh Rahimahullah. We have time for a short practice? Yeah, 10 minutes. And then we'll go on the field trip. Exciting. Sounds like we're back at school. Yeah. So I'm just going to get everybody to close their eyes. So we're just going to run through a practice. So I'm just going to, if you need to open your eyes, you can see the visuals. I will go through it. However, I want everybody to close their eyes and start to quickly go through your lataif and transfer. And those who transfer, they can transfer immediately, but bring yourself in the presence of Allah. So everybody close your eyes. Imagine the name of Allah is above your head. Those that are now transfer, now connect with your teacher. If it's easier, enter into the spiritual body of your master. And then for this practice, we'll travel to the blessed Mazar of great Ummi Saint Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh Rahimahullah. Now you're sitting facing the grave. You're sitting facing the grave with your teacher, and the name of Allah, the beautiful name of Allah, is above your head. And it's showering with light, Nuri Nur, all over. Now as you refresh the three keys, Allah is with me, Allah is seeing me, hearing me. See the light of focus connecting you to the name of Allah. The blessed Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh Rahimahullah, the light connecting the grave to the name of Allah. Keep refreshing, feel the presence. Rely on Allah's help with the unveiling of this. Allah's with me, Allah's seeing me, the Almighty is hearing. They know everything about me, my soul, my want, my yearning. My yearning. Oh, Allah is for you. We yearn for you, Allah. Help us in this so our level of Iman increases. Now, as your presence starts to increase, and those who know the dua, Allahumma ya Rabbi, start reciting that in your heart. And for the others, start to recite any durood in your heart. Connect with the beloved of Allah. And as you do that, the light between you and the blessed Mazar of the great Ummi Saint is increasing and increasing. It's increasing and increasing to the point the light is so blinding you don't see anything but just the light. Stay in that focus. Focus is key. Presence of your teacher, presence of Allah, and the light is increasing. But within that light comes the blessed personality of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh Rahimahullah. And I will stay silent just for a few seconds and let you experience. As the image comes through, you are at the mazar, and the great Ummi Saint, Sayyid Abdul Aziz Dabagh Mullah, comes through, and immediately you start to recite, you give them salam, salatu salam alayka. Give salam to your teacher's teacher. And as if like your grandchildren meeting your grandfather, your spiritual grandfather. You embrace them. Each and every one of us is kissed on the forehead, and a special light of love is experienced and received. Now there's time to make intention. Ask for nasihats. Give them salam. And let you experience your connection and communication with this blessed personality. Now we're going to slowly come back, but you'll find that Sayyid Abdul Aziz Dabagh Mullah will be with us. They will walk with us. So we now come back here. We're still in our spiritual bodies. The teacher is with us, and so is Sayyid Abdul Aziz Dabagh Mullah. It's mentioned to keep their presence as well as the teacher, and they will both walk with us to the grave and help us. So those who are feeling scared, know that you have your spiritual master with you and your grandmaster, your teacher's teacher with you. Slowly, if you could open your eyes. More importantly, rather than ask for feedback for experiences, we can do that at the graveyard. Is everybody clear on the methodology? Any questions on that? Okay. Depends on what the setup is there. But very simply, just to summarize, transfer into your spiritual body, your teacher is with you, keeping the mode down, and try and refresh the methodology as we're going to have time to walk there. So as you arrive at the graveyard, the name of Allah is above your head, is showering upon all of you. You bring the presence and the light of connection of Allah is between you and Allah, and the graveyard and Allah. Recite very simply now. Then you start to recite the Durood, and the light of connection between you and the grave. So that light comes. The key thing is you will have permission to do this now. That's one of the keys. That light increases, and from there, with your power of imagination and the help of the mashaykhs that will be with you, the grave will open. That's why I left that image there. The grave will open, and if it is somebody righteous, pious, you can do salams and interact with them. If you are shown darkness, then just as a reminder, in your heart you start to recite La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and the vision and the experience will become clearer and clearer. And if you do see punishment, do ask Allah for protection from the punishment of the grave. Is it the breeze? Yeah. Yes, you can do. The teacher will probably do a collective dua anyhow. But first thing to do is do make dua for yourself. Yeah, for Allah's protection, and then you can make dua for them as well. But the key thing is everybody clear on the methodology. Bro Abdullah?
The scenario with going to say Dr. Aziz the box, is that every single case that we do and then we go to the person?
No, so your teacher will be with you. Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Baq rahimahullah will be with you once you transferred. So you do the methodology, like we mentioned, the name of Allah, the light, the durood, the light between you and the grave increases and increases until it opens up. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Which grave? I'm just a bit confused about whether that process, what we did with Sayyidina Aziz last grave, is the process of all grave visits.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. That was given to you as the example of visiting them when somebody's righteous and pious. So the other variation is these that I'm showing you on the screen. So you could see this, the grave could open. And if you start to see darkness, this is what you do. So think of it like a flow chart. So if it's righteous and pious, this is what you're doing. If you start to see darkness, this is what you're doing. If you can do that, that's fine. Yeah, if you can do that, like we've just done now, which you've done, if you can do that, that's one of the highest level of adabs. But the key thing is to connect with the teacher first. Okay? Depends on your level of concentration. I would encourage you to maybe focus on one grave or generally. Yeah, generally. You might not know which one it actually is. So it all depends on everyone's level. Some people can focus on one grave. Like let's say if yourself was to, is your mother buried in that grave? So my advice to yourself would be to just focus on your mother's grave. Yeah, and we'll ask for your feedback afterwards. Yeah, so that's a very good question. Maulana Mustafa has mentioned. So I think for yourself, if you can focus on your mother's grave and connect with your mother, and then we'll ask your feedback afterwards. Okay? Take it. Okay, just another important thing to, this is very important actually, just to relate to you. This permission that you've been given is only for now, collective permission. So it's not for you to go at the moment to do any graveyards, okay? So this is a protection, and to do this collectively, you may be assigned specific graves. It could be. Okay, we'll find out, so just information be given. But this is, the permission you have for now is to do this on this field trip that we're going on, and not to just to do, as English saying, willy-nilly wherever you go. Okay?
So if you got like a mate buried in a different graveyard, you can't think of him.
No, focus on the task ahead.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So there's not much time for any more questions now, as we have to leave for 4 o'clock. So inshallah, do the lataif on the way. Do it only with the mazar that you're going to, and inshallah, try to minimize the talk between each other. When we're going, walking is also a dawah, so we should walk in pairs in an organized manner, and be aware of the people that are looking at us, watching us, especially dressed in this way. When you're dressed in sunnah, you're representing Islam, so it's very, very important that you give the best impression that you possibly can, because you're not representing yourself anymore, you're representing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So try not to cause any disruption or disturbance to people. That will affect us spiritually as well. So inshallah, there will be 2 brothers guiding at the front. No one should walk in front of the guides. So can I see who the guides are that know our journey to Bolton? Brother Ijaz, who's the guides?
Yes, we're walking.
Brother Shaban, and stand up.
Okay, can you stand up, brothers? So these two brothers are our guides. They're going to walk at the front, and then there'll be two ustads walking with them. So if Brother Ejaz and one other can walk with yourself. So no one should go in front of those four. Brother Siraj, Brother Shaban, Brother Ejaz, and one other. And then there'll be some of us walking at the back and a few in the middle. So if you have any questions, there'll be ustads spread all around the whole row. You can ask them, but in a quiet manner, inshallah. So walk in pairs, choose a partner now, and then Brother Siraj, Shaban, they're going to start making their way, and then you can start making your way as well, inshallah.
Sorry, just one last thing before you go. Always remember this, because sometimes